Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to episode 19 of the Prosperous Yogini podcast. Today, I'm going to talk to you about what is marketing. And if you're listening in thinking, great, Amy's going to give me a content plan, tell me exactly what to say, and all will be right with the world, I'm so sorry to just let you know it doesn't work like that. And it really doesn't work like that for me. And one of the things I am just so passionate about, if you come into my mentorship program, I will just encourage so much, is running your business your way. So it has never worked for me to be too set in my ways that I'm going to do things, to plan too much in advance. Like even down to teaching, like of course I plan my classes, of course I know kind of what I'm going to include in them, but as the years went by, as I got more confident with teaching, more intuitive with creating sequences on the spot, I found my best classes were the ones where I just rocked up and taught, when I rocked up and said, hey guys, where are we at today? The ones where I had like a feeling or a theme or a pose that we were going to work towards, but kind of just went with the flow, almost like an intuitive download as to like what I'm going to include into this class. And they've always been my best classes when I've had this rigid plan, like I'm going to follow this plan, and I get really stressed and it doesn't work with me. And I have to say the same is true when it comes to my marketing strategy. I'm laughing because I'm like, what marketing strategy? I don't have a marketing strategy because I'm going to just let you know, I don't think you need one. You just need to talk to people, right? Marketing and people who promote, who are marketing experts, who want you to believe that running a business is hard. So therefore you need their help, or therefore you can't run your business without paying for people to help you to do things. And don't get me wrong, like sometimes paying people to help you to do things is a really good idea. But paying someone to do your marketing may not be such a good idea, because marketing is simply this: it's talking to people. And if I pay someone to talk for me, are they really going to represent me? Do they really know? And I am in my marketing talking to people and trying to build up that relationship of know, like, and trust. So that has to come from me. Not just that, it has to come from a place of authentically me, not me talking to people, trying to pretend to be someone I'm not me talking to people, trying to impress them. So they come and do yoga with me, not me talking to people, trying to force them, persuade them into buying something with me because I really need them to buy something so I can pay my bills or I can validate that I feel good. None of that. None of that. None of that. It is so simple marketing. It literally is. Hi, I'm Amy. These are the people I help. This is how I can help you. Okay, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I know about. These have been my experiences as a human being, not as a yogi or a yoga teacher. These have been my experiences as a human being. This is what I care about. This is what I understand about you and your suffering and your stories and your problems and what you're seeking for, your pleasure that you're seeking for, the outcome that you're seeking for, the transformation. This is the value I can bring to you. This is how I can help you. That's me talking to you. Okay. And how I talk to you, my marketing strategy, right, is entirely up to me. Now, today's podcast has been really inspired by a conversation I had yesterday with Jane Craddock, who I run my yoga teacher training course. We had a lovely day yesterday. We got to hang out at the Headland Spa Hotel. Our graduate teachers from our last cohort of the Foundation Teacher Training course had brought us a voucher for a spa day. We had a lovely spa day. And of course, as part of that spa day, it was also a business meeting, but we were talking a lot about, running our yoga businesses. And I just turned around to Jane at one point and thought, do you think as a profession, just yoga teachers have gone mad? And what I mean by this, now, I don't want to sound back in the day, but I'm going to say back in the day. I have been teaching yoga for 13 years now. I started teaching yoga before social media. Social media wasn't a thing, right? and you probably might, I might have shared this story with you, but my training course, I trained with the British School of Yoga. It was a 500-hour course, and we did it over 3 years. I'm not sure if you even can train like that now. People want to do things quicker, but after a year or so, you could start teaching. It was a long course, and you could start teaching within it. And I remember I started teaching after that year. I was like, I want to teach. I'm ready. By the way, best thing you can do is to improve your teaching is get teaching. I digress. And I remember I set up my website and I went in to everyone and said, hey, I've got a website. And honestly, people were like, you've got a website? Amy's got a website? This is groundbreaking. Can you imagine, right? Can you imagine? But this is back in, it was 2008. It was a year before I got married. Can you imagine that reaction now? I've set up a website. Yeah, whatever, like everyone's got a website, right? Now some people say you don't even need a website. Yeah. But it back in 2008, the fact that I had a website was absolutely groundbreaking. So even back then, yoga teachers were not in a place, so say they wanted to offer yoga or make yoga offers, and people were, trust me, back in 2008, running classes, running retreats, running training. People had online businesses, by the way, in 2008. Not that I was aware of that, but yoga teachers were not needing to have a content planning, 30-day content planning, 90-day content planning, did not need to have a marketing strategy. None of this was needed. None of this was needed. I just went and hired a village hall. I went and put a flyer up. That was marketing. I told people, I spoke to people. I told people, hey, I'm teaching yoga. I went into the local library, the local cafe. Hi, I'm setting up a yoga class. Can I put my flyer here? Some people said yes, some people said no. That was marketing. So let's step back, because the minute I say marketing strategy, people just think social media. Now, this isn't a podcast episode where I'm bashing social media, where I'm persuading you to come off social media. Not at all. My relationship with social media is literally, it is the icing on the cake. I see Instagram as like my invitation, my party invitation to the world. I love going onto the app and saying, hey, hi, I'm Amy. This is what I do. This is how I can help you. But that's as far as it goes. I am very instinctive often with my Instagram posting. Like, I'm not like, I must post every day. I must do these amount of reels every week. I must always having something running in my stories. No, I'm just in the flow. I do it because I want to do it. I don't feel any pressure. Now, if you're like, yeah, Amy, great. I like, thank you for telling me this. How did you get to this place? Why haven't I thought like this? Because I've been there. I have been in that place where you think you need to be on social media, where you need to post every day, where you need to create really interesting reels that go viral. I mean, I have a reel rule that if a reel takes me more than 10 minutes max, then I just put my phone down and walk away. I'm not going to invest any more time in that. For me, I did some training on reels when like they were really like, everyone needs to do reels, and everyone was really excited about reels, and people were creating reels where they were jumping in and changing outfits and pointing and dancing, and people were spending hours on these reels. Some of them were great, like, don't get me wrong, but I was like, do I really, if I need to do this to teach yoga, then I don't want to teach yoga. And actually, I really, excuse the pun, I really don't need to. So that isn't a criticism of people who are using reels to market, to talk to people, to reach more people, and in reaching more people and talking to more people, they can bring more people into their community. If that's the way they want to do it, then great. What I want you all to do is go back to this idea, marketing. Marketing is talking to people, showing up in your most authentic self. This is me. And showing up in a completely non-attached way, which is so hard because you're beautiful brain wants you to show up and everyone to love you, wants you to show up and everyone to come to your classes. When you make an offer, you want everyone to go, yeah, that looks amazing, I'm coming. Like your beautiful brain wants you to be loved, wants you to be part of the tribe. So when you show up, it's pretty scary because you're showing up and people might say, no, I don't want this. And it's not even anything to do with being online. Like, let's go back to walking into the local coffee shop saying, hi, I'm setting up a yoga studio down the road. Would you be happy to put my flyer up in your window? And there are flyers up in the window already. So you're like kind of hoping they're going to say yes. And they just say, no, sorry, I've got too many flyers up already. That right there in that moment is rejection. Rejection hurts. Yeah. Right. It took you a lot of confidence to walk into that cafe to ask them. And they said no. So how could I reframe that? You could say, totally understand, right? First of all, so you reframe this from love, right? I totally understand. Thank you anyway. Buy a coffee, buy a cake, right? Invest into that local business while you're buying a coffee, buying a cake. Chat to that person behind there, like, how long have you been here? Yeah, well, I'm hoping to run some restorative yoga workshops. Do you make cakes that I could buy in advance? Do you see now? I'm talking to this person who said, no, you can't put your flyer up. My window's too busy. They don't know who you are. You just walked in and said, hey, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm setting up a studio down the road. You're happy to put my flyer up? And they were like, no, too many flyers in my window already. And you didn't walk off. You didn't go, fine, don't need you anymore. You stayed. You invested in their business. You bought a coffee. While you were buying that coffee, you got chatting to them. You showed an interest. How long had you been there? What's it like to be a business owner in this area? I'm thinking of, I run teacher training. I did this yesterday. We checked out a new studio in Newquay to run our training course from. We went into the local cafe there. Did I go into that cafe and say, hey, I'm going to run a yoga teacher training course. You happy to put a flyer up in the window about it? Hell no. Hell no. I went in and said, hi, I'm Amy. I'm thinking of renting the yoga studio around the corner to run training courses in. Lady was like, oh, hi. Yeah. It's like, we often, our trainee teachers will need lunch. Is there a way they can pre-order? Yes, I sell bagels. And she gave me her flyer. So she already knew there was a reciprocal relationship. Okay. But I'm marketing right now. I'm not making a reel on social media. I'm talking to a local business owner around the corner from the studio that I'm planning to run my training course to. Then it didn't just end there. I said, sometimes we like to have cake as afternoon cake. Can I pre-order some cake with you? Yes, I can do that. Now she's fired up because I'm coming in to her space and I'm like, well, I'm going to bring in business to you. And she's like, oh, great. So she wants my training course. She wants my training course to be successful now. So anyone that comes in, you don't know, who's like, oh, yeah, I've seen the yoga studio around the corner. I'd love to be a yoga teacher. Oh, there's a lady who's going to start training there. This is marketing. She's now doing my marketing for me. She's talking to people for me. Your students, right? Your students will do marketing for you. You turn up for your students, right? Let's take it right back to, right? I gave you an example of a training course, right? Let's take it right back to you starting out in your yoga journey and you've set up a class, right? Your first class. I'm going to say, first of all, well done. You've taken action. You've put yourself out there. You've made some flyers because you know marketing is particularly locally. Marketing is about talking to people, and talking to people locally is, get on some local Facebook groups, chat to people, get into local businesses, chat to people locally around the room, the venue that you're going to teach in. Okay. Yes, you can make beautiful reels on Instagram as well. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you're starting a class locally, you need to be talking to people locally that could potentially come to your class, right? I Google, let's say your class, I'm going to just use an example. My sister lives in Walthamstow, right? You're going to start your class in Walthamstow in London. I would really love it that if I Google Walthamstow, London, that I come up on first page. But right now you're like, oh, how do I do that? And some of you might be like, I need to get my search engine optimization, my SEO in line. Yes, if you have a website, please do make sure, if you're a yoga teacher in Walthamstow, that those keywords are in your website. Totally. Also, big tip, Google Business Center listing. Google Business Center listing. You don't even need a website for this. You can list your Facebook page, your Instagram page if you want as your website listing. That is when you list your business, your yoga class, right, with Google Business Center. And when someone Googles yoga Walthamstow, you turn up on that first bit, you know, where there's the map and like classes here. Like, you don't even have to do search engine optimization, but don't think, fine, don't have to worry about SEO. But that is just a really nifty hack. Okay, so what am I talking about? Oh yeah, one class, right? So you get this class going, you've got a Google Business Center listing, you've chatted to people locally, you've put a few flyers up, and 4 people are rocking up to your class, right? Maybe you're breaking even. I'm so great. This is a great start. It would be really easy for you in this moment to go, oh, just 4 people are turning up. This is I'm breaking even. Oh, you know, this is what I imagined being a yoga teacher to be. I'm going out, I'm giving, I'm spending a couple of hours planning, and like I'm not getting anything back. Like, and I hear you, I've been there. I have totally been there, right? And but what you do, right, in your marketing is you turn up every week. You turn up for those students every week. You show up for those students, and you teach them. They love you. And then they start doing the marketing. They'll go out and tell other people, because they'll have friends. They'll know people in the local area. And they're like, I'm going to this great yoga class. Come along. They want this to happen. They love your yoga class. They want your yoga class to carry on. So they're going to bring more people in. You don't have to do any offer where they bring a mate half price or anything like that, or give away your first class for free. You don't have to do any of that. You just have to show up for those 4 students. This is marketing. They give them the best yoga class ever. Like, I'm here, I'm just going to show up every week, and I'm going to be totally in the belief that this is going to be a full class very soon, and that I'm going to have people on the waiting list, and you will magnetize this. Yeah, this is, you might hear or see people talk about magnetic marketing. Like, how can I magnetize people to me? One of my favorite things is like, the universe hooks me up. Like, every time people come into my business, I'm like, yeah, the universe hooked us up. It's got nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with my content planning, my marketing strategy, my search engine optimization, my plan, my pillars for Instagram. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with me having an intention that I am going to talk to people. And I have to talk to people because I am a service provider. I provide a service. My service that I provide is yoga. I provide yoga classes, I provide training courses, and I have a mentorship program, right? So I have services that I offer. As part of that, if I'm a service provider, I have to sell my services, sell my offers. Like, if I was selling, I've got a friend who's got beautiful business selling blankets. She's got a product-based business, right? So the idea that she wouldn't talk to people about her blankets and would, in order to sell her blankets, would be inconceivable. So why, as a yoga teacher, right, would you not talk to people about your yoga classes, your yoga offers, and then invite them in? So we often see marketing and selling as 2 separate things, a bit like we see fascia and muscles as 2 separate things, or controversially, we see fascia and bones as 2 separate things. I'm going to take this back to an anatomy analogy here. Where does fascia end and muscle begin? Where does fascia end and bones begin? In the human body, everything interweaves, interconnects. There are no straight lines in the human body. Everything is spiralic. It is the only definitions, the only definite ends, definite beginnings that exist in the human body are the ones we create with a knife. Anatomy literally means to anatomize, to cut with a knife. When does selling become selling, not marketing? Selling literally is the end product of your marketing, right? When does it become, when does one end and one stop? It doesn't, my darling, because this is like so important, because you have some people out there going, I'll give you an example. Instagram, right? Every free post make an offer. What do you mean every free post make an offer? Like, why can't I make an offer every time I post? Why can't I tell people about what I do and say, hey, do you want to come to class? Like, it's like, who made this up? We made this up. It's just insanity. And like, sometimes you don't have to make an offer. Sometimes I'm just going to put a picture of me having had a great serve, because I'm like, yeah, I've had a great serve. Sometimes I choose not to post on Instagram because I've got nothing to say. And I used to be like, oh God, I got to be on the app. But now I'm like, I'll show up, I'll talk to people however I want to. And just finishing off about Instagram, I must do this post. I was chatting to someone, like one of the ladies that I'm mentoring. She's got this beautifully crafted grid, and it used to be, like, definitely going back a few years, it used to be an absolute prerequisite that your grid on Instagram used to look aesthetically pleasing. Now she's an artist and she's got a great eye for color, and the aesthetically pleasing grid, it's important to her. She likes it, right? And I was like, oh gosh, your Instagram grid puts mine to shame. Honestly, my Instagram grid is a hot mess. Like, there's no other word for it. It's just a hot mess. And I'm like, sometimes I feel like that's my marketing strategy. It's just a hot mess. I'm like, I'm just going to turn up today and talk to people. And how am I going to do that? I don't know. I might chat to someone on the school run. I might be on a Zoom call giving somebody one-to-one a huge amount of value, and they're so fired up and it makes such a massive difference to their yoga business that they go out and talk to other people. I asked someone to do a testimonial for me, and I'm putting my testimonials on my websites and my sales pages. There's some social proof that, like, these guys are marketing for me, but there isn't a strategy behind it that I am holding myself to and feeling like I've got to do it. So I've written here that get really intentional about talking to people. That's marketing. Just totally understand, as a yoga teacher, you do need to talk to people, but it literally could be a flyer, chatting to people locally, telling your friends, asking people to share the fact that you're a yoga teacher and you're doing this. It could be showing up on social media. Of course, there's nothing wrong with social media. But if you're like, and I have this conversation a lot with people, they just like the conversation I have with Jane, like the craziness that we find ourselves in, where like we are as yoga teachers feeling like we've got to be continually producing content, continually showing up on social media. No. And show up, get intentional about talking to people, because you're a service provider, you're a yoga teacher. Be brave, talk to people. Some people don't give a shit about what you do. Some people don't want to hear about it. Some people will listen and think, oh, so I'm not interested in that. That's fine. Talk to people in a completely non-attached way. Yeah. When you are talking to people, remember that human beings generally are quite selfish. So we often think as yoga teachers that we must talk to people about how brilliant we are. Yeah. I must tell people how many years I've been teaching, how many qualifications I've got, who I've trained with, how many hours I've trained for. Oh, do you care? Have you checked out who I trained with, how many hours I've trained with? No. Do you care? No. You, in your marketing, you want to be more intentional. Like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is how I can help you. This is the value. This is the transformation. And I much prefer value and transformation over targeting people's pain and problems. That said, people do have pain and problems, and you will offer the solution for that. So sometimes you do need to call them out. So are you continually suffering with back pain? Yes, I can help you. This is how. Right? There you go. The question was the marketing, the talking to people. Are you continually suffering from back pain? The answer is so simple. Yes or no. If I'm not continuing with back pain, you can't help me. I ain't got back pain. I want to do something else. But I'm a specialist in helping people reduce their suffering when it comes to back pain. So that question alone, are you suffering from back pain? Yes, I am. You've got my interest now. I'm going to listen to you a little bit more. Okay. This is how I can help you. This is my story. I had a back injury. I could barely bend forward to touch my toes. I practice yoga. I trained to be a yoga teacher. It changed my life. I now want to change your life. That's the value, that's the transformation that I can bring. Like right now, if I've got back pain and I've heard that story, I'm like, I don't care how much it costs, what it is. I'm like, sign me up. Because we get stuck in the how, we get stuck in the details of like the timings of the classes, the style of the class, the name of the class. Like people do need to know where they need to be and when and what the offer is and how much it costs. But the first thing they need to know when you're talking to them is how you can help them. Establish yourself as someone that they know, like, and trust, why you want to help them, and the value, the transformation that they bring. That's marketing, talking to the people that you want to help, talking to and like you hear people say, get clear on your avatar, your ideal client. And again, I'm not a big fan of avatar, ideal client, because I'm like, okay, we are talking about a human being here yet, right? But what I want you to imagine is your best student, that person, right? Then let's go back to the example of the back pain, right? You imagine someone who's really suffering with back pain, and they are suffering so much that they are ready to commit to do anything to end their suffering. You've been gone out into the world, however you want to talk to people, gone, this is how I can help you. You've asked the question, do you suffer from back pain? And they find you and they're like, oh my God, yeah, I want to work with this person. And they sign up to whatever your offer is, and they do everything you tell them. And you reduce or you end their suffering, you change their life. You imagine that best student, you really have that in your brain, and honestly keep fixating on that person when you're talking. And literally, because we are vibrational energetic beings, and your vibration, this is magnetic marketing, by the way, I'm getting goosebumps, your vibration, right, vibrates over the people that need your help to you. It's got nothing to do with a social media strategy, marketing strategy, content planning. Yes, you don't even have to be on Instagram. Just to conclude, I was having this conversation with someone I was working with today, just this morning. We were talking about how there is actually, in some circles, people who are running online businesses, by the way, some people are moving off social media. There is a return to what we call longer term core content. Like examples of long-term core content would be your website, search engine optimization, people finding you through Google, blogs. I mean, that taps into people finding you through Google, search engine optimization, YouTube. If you are making videos, however long or short, for social media, and you are not repurposing them as YouTube videos, you are missing out, right? A reel is really short, right? You make your reel, it's got to be short, 7 seconds, because people's attention spans are going, like, got to be short. And you make this short video. Okay, let's say it's a 2-minute video, right? And Instagram's going to repost it as a reel anyway. So you made a 2-minute video on one exercise on how you can help someone with back pain. This is great. Like, if you upload that video to YouTube with a title that people might be searching that have got back pain, like, what's the best exercise for back pain, best yoga exercise for back pain, something that people are going to be searching for, and that YouTube video is going to turn up. The reel gets lost into the, I don't know, is there a parallel universe, right, where all these reels are going and they just kind of like float around there? Anyway, they get lost into the parallel universe that is real world. Your YouTube video is now long-term content with targeted search title that people are going to find 2-3 years later. All right, so YouTube is the long game, blogging is the long game. This is long-term content, but it's all part of your talking to people. Just to conclude, this studio that I went to see yesterday to run my training course, new studio, really lush, guy who runs it, lush guy. And he was just talking about, I need to get a bit more intentional on social media. And I was stood there and I'm like, you need to walk, like, there's a 20-minute radius. It's in the town of Newquay, right? In Cornwall, like, public transport's rubbish, right? So I'm like, people don't tend to drive. Like, they do, but like, if we can avoid driving in Cornwall, that's great, right? I'm like, you've got a 20-minute walking radius here. You need to be talking to everyone in that radius. And that isn't social media. That's that's knocking on people's doors. That's putting a flyer through people's door. That's putting an ad in the local news thing that goes out into these people's door. That maybe there's a close Facebook group like about, on Nuki, like yoga and Nuki, that you can advertise in. It's like talking to the local businesses, but it's literally about going out and physically talking to people. And I feel quite passionate that we have forgotten. When I say marketing strategy, people think social media, people think online. Talking is marketing. Talking is marketing. Building relationships, talking to people and telling them how you can help them, and then inviting them into your offers in a completely non-attached way. Yes, the latter part is technically selling, but where does marketing end and selling begins? I don't know. Actually, I don't care. I just want to talk to you. As you know, because you're listening to this, I now primarily use my podcast to talk to people, because in a really aligned way, I'm really good at talking. Like, I'm really good at sticking on a mic in front of me, hitting record, and just going. It's what I'm really good at. It's what I really enjoy. So I'm showing up in a really aligned place. There isn't ever a time where I'm like, I don't want to do this podcast. I don't have that feeling. And actually, if I ever get to that place, that's a sign for me to have a break. Because if you're like, I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to show up on social media, there's an energy behind that. There's a vibration behind that. People will feel it. So don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Be brave. Talk to people. You've got something to offer the world, 100%, which is why you're here, why you chose to be in this physical form right now. Okay. Talk to people in the way you want to talk to people. Show up as your most true, authentic self and talk to people in a way that feels aligned for you. And it really, really, really doesn't have to be on social media unless you want it to be. All right, my lovelies, I will see you all next week.